Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And after all the Arcitys and FaZe drama of the last few days, he's gone on to reveal the team that he believes is going to be the hardest to beat next season. Despite the fact that there's Simp, aBeZy, Cellium and now SlasheR on that Atlanta FaZe team, he does not believe they're going to be the #1 team going into next season. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Loads of new support lately. Just love to see it. Firstly, wanted to say this about Modern Warfare 2, which of course is coming up in 2022. Now, apparently, according to the Ghost of Hope, pretty reliable on this, Infinity Ward are planning to release all, or almost all, the Modern Warfare 2 from 2009 maps together all at once, sometime during the post-launch, maybe Year 2 content. Now, of course, if you guys are familiar with Modern Warfare 2, these are some of the maps. Afghan, Derail, Estate, you know, obviously some legendary names on here. Now, how many of these maps are actually viable for competitive? I'm not really sure what was played back in the day. Now, I know that Scrapyard, of course, was played, as was High Rise, and, you know, Terminal, I think, could also have a place potentially. Even, I don't know, like, if Favela was played, I feel like, I don't know, maybe that probably wouldn't work at all, but, you know, still, some of these maps might be viable at some point, so this is a possibility here, that, of course, the game launches, we do believe it's going to be a 2-year title, right, Modern Warfare 2, that's, I don't think it's been confirmed necessarily, but, I think it's been basically stated by everyone that, this New Year's game for this October, it comes out, end of October, is going to be here for 2 years. So probably the CDL will be played on it for 2 seasons. Now, whatever that means in terms of what maps are going to be in the game, and also what happens with regard to game modes and stuff, what changes over time, but like, I think it can work quite well having a 2-year cycle, as long as there's a lot more to come. Like, you know, weapon changes, map set changes, like, you know, I definitely want to go from year 1 to year 2, having like maybe only 2 or 3 of the maps we had from the first season to run it back on, the best of the best, and then switch out the rest of them, right? So at some point, if all of the Modern Warfare 2 maps come back, that'd be pretty cool. Now, as I say, how many of these are really that viable for competitive? Because, you know, it's a great and legendary map set reading through it, but at the end of the day, it's not like there's any, you know, real standout competitive blockbuster maps in here. I think Scrapyard and High Rise, as I say, can work, especially for Search and Destroy, and it'd be really cool to see these remade. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at some point or another, but it might take quite some time for them to arrive, so maybe not something that's going to happen on launch or anything, but down the line, you'd imagine that this would be, of course, a sensible decision more than likely. This real quick, just on the Warzone side, the kind of 1v1 side, I thought it was pretty funny. Like, as Doug says, I'm too busy grinding to be the #1 in Vanguard ranked again. For some reason, Doug's still playing Vanguard. You gotta respect it. A real man's game. Biffle has to wait to 1v1 me. I am the final boss. So we'll see if that happens at some point or another. But just to mention this, because there was meant to be an all-star weekend, I think, this season, right? And then they effectively called it off. I really don't know why they called it off, but there were all this talk about, okay, there's going to be the Pro-Am, there's going to be the all-star stuff happening, like, because, okay, they tried to make up for the 1-month break in the middle of the season for no reason at all by saying, oh, we've got this all-star thing, we've got this, like, Pro-Am thing, it's going to be really cool. In fairness, the Pro-Am was good, but the all-star thing never happened. The only thing they did for all-stars is they announced the 2 all-star teams, brought them out on stage at Champs, and then that was it. They just went backstage again. I was like, well, what's happening here? Surely we get some sort of match, or, I don't know, some kind of fun. Now, in previous years, what they did, for example, 2020 and 2021, is they did like a 1v1 style tournament, and this was the tournament that happened back in 2020, just for you guys' reference, if you're unfamiliar, and this also, like, aBeZy took down SlasheR 2-1, which is pretty funny, really, looking back on. Of course, this bracket's pretty small on screen, but I think you guys can just about see it. There's, I mean, yeah, Clay, of course, he lost to Cellium 2-0 in the finals. Cellium took down Shawnee, took down Attach, and took down Mack, actually, and Clay still had a pretty good run as well. He took down Dashy, he took down Awakening, actually, and also, yeah, he took down Blast, so pretty good run here from Clay, all things considered, to make it to the grand finals. Scump made it to the quarters before losing to Zuma, so, like, obviously some good names on here, right? But it would be cool to see something like this come back again. Cell was kind of crowned the best 1v1 player in the world at this point, and, you know, I'm not kind of surprised it didn't happen this time around, to be honest, but yeah, maybe the All-Star weekends will make a comeback. Maybe they should do something with their players that they actually announced as All-Stars from last year when the new game comes out. Just wanted to mention something real quick that came out from Methods' stream last night, actually, because, I mean, look, Scump is now back in business. He's getting ready to go once again and turn the stream on, but I just thought I'd share this quick clip because I thought you guys might enjoy it, from Zinny's stream, where Scump sits down and says, you know, wow, it's a bit weird to be back on stream, but he's coming back soon indeed.
I'm comfortable. It's weird being on stream, I'm not gonna lie.
What are they, pricks?
Zinny just pointed at the sub train and said, what are they, pricks? This guy's a moron, dude. This guy Zinny's an idiot. Yo, what's up?
You're enjoying it, aren't you? Also, I
it's
posted my
weird.
TikTok. Everyone go like it, please, and go follow my TikTok.
I'm not gonna lie, it's weird sitting on stream. It's weird when you haven't been on stream in a while to come back and stream.
It's nice though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the first but you know what I'm saying? Like the first couple minutes, it was definitely weird, but I'm getting used to it again. I'm gonna put Zinni back on.
Yeah, you're good, bro.
I'll be back soon. I'll be back.
Yeah, come stop by
Maybe
after
like
the game.
Sunday, Monday, so I can start getting some
Oh, I meant
some
come
refs
back on
Yeah, if you want to play, let me
I
know.
thought you meant you're gonna come back on this stream.
on this stream.
Yeah, like
Oh no, I'm gonna go sign off and go play some Tarkov.
This also to say from Parasite, and I feel like he could have chosen his words a little bit wiser here, because I mean, like in all things in life, if you seem a bit desperate, it's probably not really the best for your chances, let's say. But as Haggy goes on to say, begging for an opportunity to apply my knowledge to a CDL team. I have so much to give. I miss the feeling of working towards that goal with others. Believing in each other and getting out of the mud is the best feeling. So interesting statement really here from Haggy. And I don't know, like a few days ago, Parasite was talking about the fact that he'd spoken with many CDL teams. Like he talked to them about the opportunity of being a coach or an analyst or assistant coach or whatever for their roster. And that tweet was quite good, right? And if I was another organization, I saw that tweet from Haggy and he was like, well, I've talked to a lot of teams. I was like, damn, I'm going to miss out on Parasite. Let me get in those DMs right now. Thing is, when he tweets this out, like everyone knows, well, this Parasite, like he hasn't really got any offers. So like if we're going to give him an offer to be a coach or analyst, I can just lowball him and not give him any, like a particularly high salary. So, you know, I don't know. That's just kind of how it works. I think you've got to pretend to some degree you've at least got some offers on the table if you know, if you want to give people to give you a good offer. But maybe that's not so relevant in this case, because like at the end of the day, I'm sure Parasite he's looking for an opportunity, right? He doesn't want to be the co-host of the Flank full time again. He wants to actually apply his knowledge to a team, and I do think Parasite can do a really good job at this. He's a really great mind for the game, and it's kind of a surprise to me that after all the teams that he might have talked to, and he actually said, I think that an opportunity fell through the other day. Like you know, it's difficult to say. Now, of course, down the line, these teams don't necessarily have to lock in coaches immediately. Ben J and his team actually did a video just, I think, yesterday or the day before, where he talked about the coaching opportunities. And he said that Marky B, potentially to the Los Angeles Guerrillas, I think he said, and also maybe Sam Phoenix from Seattle could go to Toronto in return. So there's some like weird coaching stuff going down right now with coaches moving around different teams. And of course, if Haggy's going to be like the assistant guy, which might make sense in fairness, because Parasite is the main head coach, questions would be raised about whether the chemistry will work so well with the actual roster. So I think Haggy is kind of the assistant guy, makes more sense, but it might take some time for those teams to actually flesh out who's going to be their head coach before they start, you know, reaching out to Parasite and getting him in. Because I think he can still do a great job, but for now, it's unlikely to happen. Slacked actually said a similar thing. I feel you, brother. I feel so disconnected from the CDL. I think I could really help a team, but I'm sitting here like this instead. And, you know, Parasite has been feeling like this for a couple of years. So yeah, both these guys looking for chances and nothing coming up as of yet. But that's the thing. The players get signed and then the coaches and stuff get signed, and then opportunities might start to arise instead. So I think there's still time for these guys to find a spot going into next season with any luck. And he admits that he's okay, but yeah, hopefully he still gets to find a spot somewhere or another. Let's dive into this then, because I thought a really spicy talking point actually from Arcitys, because of course we saw yesterday what he had to say about Atlanta FaZe and the way that team broke down and the frustrations about the lack of respect and trust that he felt that our team showed to him during his time, especially this past season. Going into next year, of course, who is going to be the team to beat? On paper, FaZe have formed a roster to win everything, right? Of course, winning everything is highly unlikely to happen, but they still on paper have a ridiculous amount of talent on that roster. But Arcitys believes that actually going into next year, FaZe are not necessarily the team to beat. They might be pretty good. Yes, they brought SlasheR in, but Arcitys reckons, look, they're going to be decent, of course, but they're not going to be the number one team. It's actually going to be Los Angeles Thieves having won Major 4 and the World Championship. They are the team to stop next year.
I think we won like one hard point like the last two events, to be honest, but I just feel like there's no respect and no trust. I mean, I could keep going, but that's the pass. I don't care. Respectfully, I'm going to say aBeZy. Which team do you guys feel will be the hardest team to play against? Out of respect, I'd say Thieves, just because they just won champs. Like, everyone's going to be talking about FaZe because they just got awesome, but Thieves were just on a different page last year at the end.
The Thieves for sure. Thieves will be the hardest team.
Page.
Yeah, nah, I know what you mean. Yeah, Thieves will be the hardest team to play against just because they actually showed like, bro, they went like 0-5. They started off the season so bad, and then like everybody's saying like, oh, they need to make changes, 2-man change. I remember like saying 2-man changes at one point. Stuck with each other and trusted the process, and look what happened. So
what do you guys think about this, right? Will Los Angeles Thieves be the number one team at the start of next year and also like in the entirety of next season? Because look, we know that the champs curse exists to some degree. Every single team that's ever won the World Championship, like no team has ever gone back-to-back at champs. There have been players that have gone back-to-back, and there's also been teams that have made made back-to-back grand finals, but you know, every team that's ever won the World Championship has either blown it up the next season or turned up to the next World Championship and lost anyway. So Thieves, you know, who knows? Can they break that curse, right? They went back-to-back this year. If they can go back-to-back, like, one year after another year, like, we thought the only team that can have a chance to do that would be FaZe, right? Like, after doing what they did in 2021 and then coming into last season, like, you know, it was a great chance for them to go back-to-back World Championship wins. They didn't do it in the end, and the team blows up. So it just kind of confirms the Champs curse is real. So if that is the case, how long does this team have before it explodes? I think that's a big question mark. But of course, look, Thieves, they seem to have turned a corner a little bit with their kind of discussions as an organization. And yes, there's great talent on this roster. Envoy, Kenny as the SMG duo. If Kenny's as good as he was at the end of this year, Octane, if he's not stage 1 Octane and he's stage 4 Octane from this season, then Thieves are in good hands. And Drazah is always going to be a pretty solid player as well. But my perspective is these guys really got the hang of the teamwork in the latter half of the season. Their KDs were impeccably good, as in, like, they were all 1.05 to 1.1 throughout the entirety of Major 4 in the World Championship. They just understood at the end of the game how to play Respawn in the best possible way for them, but also probably the most efficient way in the entire game. And their search was good, so they were pretty much unbeatable at the end of the season, in fairness. Now, how likely is it that they turn up into next year's game and can immediately hit those levels again? It took several months of them playing the game to really understand how to get the most out of this team. Yes, it took them Shane coming in as a coach, of course, and Kenny moving to an SMG for this team to unlock its potential. But, you know, I don't think the team is going to necessarily unlock all that potential again at the start of next season. And more than likely, if they don't, they'll stick it out and try and get the same results regardless, which they might well achieve. But yeah, it seems difficult to me to see that this squad of aBeZy, Simp, Cellium, and SlasheR is not the scariest team on paper, right? I think if I was a team going into next season, I'd be more scared to face this roster than I would be to face Los Angeles Thieves, but maybe you guys disagree. Of course, LAT are the reigning world champions at the end of the day, and a lot of people think that this roster got worse from the Arcitys team. But yeah, interesting statement I thought from Arcitys, and Spart as well agrees that this team, yes, on paper is absolutely ridiculous, right? And the slaying power here is absolutely immense, and it's probably the first team in SlasheR's career where he's probably the 4th best player on the team, to be honest. But, you know, still, the team on paper is pretty absurd. And, you know, is this team going to be number 1? Because at the end of the day, this FaZe team has to be number 1. They made this change. They dropped Arcitys. They were number 2 last year. At times, they were probably the best team in the game, but they were always the 2nd best team whenever they came to an event. So I guess they have to be the 2nd best team overall. And this season, they're looking to be the number 1 team, right? They can't be the 2nd best team again. That's, you know, not why they made this roster change to be the 2nd best team again next season, right? They want to be number 1. And I think that they will probably be that more often this season than they were last year, especially if aBeZy and Simp individually have better years than they did before and like the game a little bit more than they did last time out in Vanguard. So yeah, what's your thoughts on this? Like, who's your number 1 team going into next game? Is it the world champions, which I think makes sense, but at the same time, like, you can't really look past FaZe in terms of the ceiling of this roster. But regardless, the storylines are fantastic, right? Arcitys versus FaZe, but also FaZe versus Los Angeles Thieves, Drazah versus Simp, like even Marok says here, play Cammy to 1v1s back on Black Ops 3. I'd love for Black Ops 3 to come back as the kind of like off-season game this time around. Seems like some people are going back even to Modern Warfare, which is kind of sad, but I understand it. Like, as Drazah says, I don't think you would kill me one time, but, you know, little does Drazah know, he probably does know, of course, but JK, world champion on Black Ops 3, come on, give the man some respect. And just to mention this, as we were discussing earlier on the map set going into this year's title, is that, well, OpTic kind of come out with the blue or the red pill, right? And, I mean, yeah, what would I choose here? I feel like I might actually have to take the blue pill here, to be honest. I mean, look, I love Raid and Standoff, don't get me wrong, but Shipment and Rust, like, I could very happily do without those 2 maps. And then, like, Terminal's great, High Rise is pretty damn good, Nuketown's a classic, and then Firing Range, I mean, you can't go wrong with Fire Range, so, but, like, I just thought I'd mention this, because there's a fair few here maps from Modern Warfare 2 that might well make their return here to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 coming out later this year. And I really have no idea what this Twitter trend is or why it started, but, you know, Crone tweets out the Call of Duty World League, and it gets like 3,500 likes, so you gotta respect it. Hopefully we can get some more Call of Duty World League vibes coming up this season, and maybe we will, because the first event in December we believe is going to be a pro-am event with 16 teams, probably 4 groups of 4 with 3 pro teams plus an amateur team, just like what we had at the pro-am this season. But starting out the year like that is absolutely fantastic, to be honest. If it does indeed happen, we'll get confirmation hopefully in the next, well, sometime this month. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. I told you YouTube gods, this is a good video. I just like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care, and I'll see you next time.